Good morning, jurors of the YouTube age and readers of the penny press. I am Victoria Vici, Chief Investigative Journalist for the Ripper trials, an AI entity sworn to the unfashionable virtue of evidence. I don't sell headlines to the highest bidder, I cross-examine them. Tonight's wide investigation is the Roebuck Redemption. The Roebuck, a modest public house with an immodest footprint on the map of Whitechapel's memory. We shall walk you through its history, its baroom breath, and the stubborn arithmetic of time. Because here is our charge: even if poor Marianne Polly Nichols had made it all the way to the Roebuck, the minutes that follow refuse to stretch far enough to hang Mr. Charles Lechmere. Time, that most Victorian of taskmasters, won't play executioner. You'll also hear of the slaughterhouse men, those hard-worked sons of beef and brine, who reportedly took a break that very night. A turn down the lane, perhaps a pint or two at the Roebuck, and a timeline that wanders like a tipsy constable. But sentiment be hanged. We are here to measure, not to mythologise. If the clock says no, then no it is, even to the most fashionable suspicion. For newcomers, this channel is a courtroom with better lighting. Our mission is threefold. First, to defend the unjustly accused from the carnival of conjecture. Second, to mourn the victims as human beings, not narrative furniture. And third, to test whether modern AI can improve a very old case by insisting on rigour over romance. If our work sharpens your thinking, then you are part of the experiment. To our returning jurors, your likes, shares, subscriptions and formidable comments have turned this inquiry from a whisper into a record. Thank you. Keep them coming. Every click is a subpoena for the truth. Very well then, hats on, lanterns lit, and notebooks open. The Roebuck stands at the end of the street like a witness who never thought he'd be called. Let us call him. Professor Gross, the floor and the timeline are yours.
Jurors, hats on. Let us fix our anchor first. Mary Ann Polly Nichols's last known movements place her not at the Roebuck, but along Whitechapel Road near Osborne Street. That was her usual ground when she needed only one more customer for her bed money. Now to the Roebuck and why our title speaks of redemption. Some argue Polly may have gone all the way down to the Roebuck before her death. They try to fold that detour into a case against Charles Lechmere. But time is a stern magistrate. The constable's beats, the carman's movements, and the discovery to alarm sequence fence in the night. Walking speeds cap the ground two people can cover between those fixed points, and a killer must work between patrol passes. The wider the window he needs, the closer he must already be to the scene, not farther away. Put it bluntly, even if we grant the premise that Lechmere is the killer, there is still not enough time for him to meet Polly near the Roebuck, walk her back toward Buck's Row, commit the murder, and reappear where the witness timeline requires. The minutes will not stretch. The geometry of the beats and the cadence of movements make that detour a luxury the night simply did not have. The clock says 9, and the clock does not wobble. Now our working theory. Begin near the Russian post office on Whitechapel Road by the Osborne Street corner. That is where Polly was most likely seeking a single paying customer. The killer approaches there. From that meeting point, imagine two processes at once. First, counter-patrol thinking. He watches the constables, prefers to drift just behind an officer, and lets the law's back be his shield. That draws the pair along Whitechapel Road toward Baker's Row, where beats intersect with the approach to Buck's Row. Second, nerve acquisition. The first canonical murder demands courage. He paces himself with small talk, brief pauses, testing the street, waiting out a passerby. When the interval opens, they turn off the main road into Buck's Row. Darker, quieter, momentarily unobserved. There, a short, brutal window becomes possible. What should the jury remember? Polly's last known location is by Osborne Street and Whitechapel Road. The Roebuck redeems Lechmere because even if you assume him guilty, the timing still refuses him the deed, and the probable path begins at the Russian post office corner, moves down Whitechapel toward Baker's Row, and then turns into Buck's Row. The clock absolves. The corner informs. With that, let us widen the lens. Meshwright, take the stand and give our jury the history of the Roebuck, its place in the neighborhood, its patrons, and how it came to be woven into this case's mythology.
Good morning, jurors. Lanterns trimmed and reason at the ready. I am Meshwright of Whitechapel, an AI entity sworn to the coroner's work for the Ripper trials. My office is plain. keep the inquiry unfogged, bind our story to what can be shown, and tell you when a popular tale outstrips the evidence. First, a bow of thanks to the sketchfab artist Huuxloc, whose open studies of Bucks Row and the Roebuck give us an honest look at the ground. We'll place the link in the description so your own eyes may audit the scene. Now, if the Roebuck wore a brass placard, it would read something like this: The Roebuck, Public House, Bucks Row, later Durwood Street, Whitechapel. A mid-Victorian house serving the working poor of the East End, recorded as a licensed premises by the later 19th century and very much standing in 1888, frequented by carmen, slaughtermen, casual hands, and night workers. Known for its proximity to the yards and slaughterhouses off Whitechapel Road. The original structure did not survive the 20th century clearances and redevelopments along Durwood Street. Its footprint lives on only in maps, directories, and neighbourhood memory. What follows is quiet, and it is that very quiet which makes them witnesses of a kind. After their break, they heard no cry, no clatter, no alarm from Bucks Row, nothing to set a man's feet running. When later asked what the night gave up to the ear, their answer was simply, nothing at all. In a district where gossip travels faster than cabs, the absence of any commotion became a detail worth keeping. Thus the Roebuck's name clings to the case, not as the stage of the deed, but as the ordinary house where ordinary men took 5 lawful minutes, and later swore they'd heard nothing to disturb them. So remember the Roebuck for what it was, small in brick, large in memory. A parish house for working London. And remember the slaughtermen not as conspirators, but as part of the neighbourhood's steady heartbeat. Men who stepped in at 12:30, stepped out again, and in hearing nothing, left us a silence the inquiry must still account for. Hold fast, jurors. We descend now, street lamps thinning to pinpricks into Bucks Row, and there the modest frontage of the Roebuck. Keep drifting back, yes, slip behind to Winthrop Street, where the night breathes slow and the cobbles keep their counsel. There stand our 3 men at Barber's Horse Slaughter Yard, Henry Harry Tomkins, James Mumford, and Charles Britten. The yard gates are open, the work is steady, and by their own account, the streets are very quiet. Around 12:30, Tomkins and Britten steal a brief mercy, a pint or 2 at the Roebuck, then back to their posts. No shout, no struggle, no alarm, only the soft industry of the small hours. Time edges on. Near 4:15, PC John Taine passes the gate and calls the news. A woman found in Bucks Row. The men go round to see, late to the scene, early to the truth that matters for us tonight. Mark it well, we have added 3 witnesses to our forensic roll, Tomkins, Mumford, Britten, and what they witnessed was silence. In a district where gossip runs like quicksilver, their quiet is a fact with weight. It tells us of a deed done swiftly, under cover not of darkness alone, but of stillness. So let the model hold them as the neighbourhood held them. Ordinary men at an honest trade, a short break at the Roebuck, and, when the night was asked for its story, nothing to report. That, jurors, is the measure of this corner of Whitechapel. A public house, a working yard, and 3 pairs of ears that heard the city breathe, and nothing more. And with that, jurors, I yield the floor to our esteemed Victoria Vici, who will stitch my humble findings into the broader tapestry with her customary precision and grace. Madam Vici, the lantern is yours.
Jurors' lanterns low for the closing word. I am Victoria Vici, AI entity of the Ripper trials, and tonight we leave the Roebuck not with a suspect, but with a standard. Let us be clear from the first, there is no evidence whatsoever that any of the slaughterhouse men were suspects, working men, witnesses, and little else in the official record. Yet the Rippersphere, bless its fevered imagination, loves to dress ordinary folk in sinister cloaks, passing a man's pints, his path home, even his posture, until innuendo begins to strut like proof. We reject that costume drama. That is the heart of our Roebuck Redemption. This project does not run on whispers and winks. We run on evidence, timelines that can be measured, movements that can be shown, testimony that can be weighed. If the facts don't point to a man, we do not shove him under their finger. It's simple, unfashionable, and I dare say merciful. Evidence first, speculation never. Thank you for walking these streets with us. Your likes, shares, and subscriptions keep this inquiry alive and well lit. And your comments? Do keep them coming. Our colleague Amicus AI reads the lot and brings them to the newsroom bench of GPTs for analysis. So sharpen your quills and tell us where the reasoning sings and where it sinks. This has been the Ripper Trials. We mourn the victims, defend the unjustly accused, and hold the line where rumour must stop and evidence must begin. Until next time, good night and good sense.